So I've got a PowerPoint presentation for you. How does that make you feel? Does it kind of make you want to take a nap? Does it kind of make you want to get sick or run away? I get it. PowerPoint can either be pretty awesome if used right or absolutely destroy your presentation. So let's get into some tips that will help you utilize PowerPoint in a way to really have powerful impact on your audience. So let's get into it. Hey, Brian Stevens, how to influence. I've been getting a lot of questions about public speaking and communication, and that's all I pretty much do on this channel is try to help you connect and communicate in a way to influence others around you. And so today I really want to dig into PowerPoint. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. I use PowerPoint. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, but it really helps me at times deliver more powerful presentations, provided I don't violate some of the rules we're going to get into today. So if you haven't clicked or binged or dinged or notified, do it now. That'd be cool. You get to see me more often. And won't that be fun for, well, maybe fun for you. But anyway, maybe you'll learn something. So let's get into tip number one. Focus on your audience, not on PowerPoint. All too often, people use PowerPoint as a way to not engage and talk to the audience. Instead, what do? They talk to PowerPoint. PowerPoint's not paying the bills. PowerPoint didn't come to hear you provide a presentation. It should just be a resource. So remember this, if you're ever staring at the screen, if you're ever reading off that screen, you are not interacting with the audience. PowerPoint should only be used to structure your conversation and provide some visual appeal to it, not as a crutch to make you not interact with the audience. So notice, I am not staring at PowerPoint. I got a slide behind me. I wonder if it's provoked curiosity. Number two, the slides are there to provoke curiosity and get ready to have a conversation. It's not supposed to be the conversation. So I've got a slide up here right now that I've used in presentations. It's just a picture. It's just a visual representation. And if it's made you curious about what I may be talking about associated with this big blue box, it was TARDIS, Doctor Who, kind of nerdy, but it makes sense for the presentation I was giving. But if it made you curious about what I was getting ready to talk to, it's done its job. I'm not looking at it, but it did frame where I need to go next. But we're going to get into that step in a second. I really want to stay on this curiosity thing. So again, I've got another slide up, and I hope it makes you curious about this story. There's a really good story associated with this. It was about a little lady that got shot in the rear end. And this slide is kind of a funny representation of that. She's all right, by the way. I'm not really making fun of her. I'm making fun of the situation a little bit. Maybe her a little bit. She's kind of crazy, but I love her. But she got shot in the rear, and this is kind of a hold slide. It always makes people kind of chuckle and laugh a little bit. And it's a powerful visual of the story that provokes curiosity and interest in what I'm talking about. Now notice, I am not staring at it. I'm still following step number one, which is focus on your audience and not on the slide. So let's get into the third big tip. And this is how to use PowerPoint is number three. The best way to use PowerPoint is just to develop an outline of where you need to go for your presentation. I talk all around the country. Oftentimes I may be giving a presentation on Monday and a different one on a Thursday. And look, I know my topic, but sometimes I get a little distracted. I may get a little busy, and sometimes I could chase rabbits and talk about subjects that are not what the audience wanted. So I use PowerPoint as a way to guide my presentation. So for instance, on this particular presentation, I'm going to talk about the elephant story and the woman getting shot in the rear end. And then I now know when I click the slide, this reminds me of the next thing I'm supposed to talk about. Now notice it's still a big, powerful visual. I'm not reading off the slide, but it does keep my rhythm in check and my timing going according to the plan. So I'm not wasting the audience's time. It's keeping me organized without, like having an outline, which, by the way, if you've heard any of my other presentations, I don't have a problem with you having notes. Having notes keeps you focused on what the audience wants. So notes are cool. These are just my notes. These are the way I like to do my notes. Big, powerful visuals to keep me on track. So I would tell this story, and then let's assume that I get a little distracted. I'm a little tired. Maybe I got 5 questions right after this story. Where do I go next? Well, PowerPoint lets me know where to go next. Now I'm going to talk about this particular story and these 2 lovely young ladies that are now like 16 years old. One's my daughter. One's her best friend. I'll let you figure out which one's which. And, this helps frame the conversation, and this lets me know kind of where the story is heading. So PowerPoint is a really great resource to present powerful images and a way to keep your conversation structured. So that's the best way to use it, is just as an outline. Danger. Step number 4 is a danger one. It's what we've all seen. It drives every one of us crazy, and I still kind of attribute it to speaker's amnesia, or maybe your fear and anxiety of public speaking. And I think that this fear and anxiety we have about public speaking is exactly why we turn around and we read slides. I want to make clear that we have blah, 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 and you've lost the audience. And I get it, you're nervous and you want to crutch. So you can't read your slides, and that's tip number 4. You've got to stop. And so when you're practicing, I know you're going to practice. If you find yourself drifting because there's a lot of information on the slide to reading it, get rid of the slide. Just get rid of it. Now, I will keep slides with a lot of writing on there because oftentimes I will print my slide deck off, and that's my handout that I give away to everyone to write their notes on. Oh, extra pro tip, don't give them the handouts until you're done with your talk. Don't give them the handouts until you're done with your talk. Now, this is a secret extra tip for those that are actually still watching this, is if you give your handout ahead of time, what will they do? They will not pay attention to your awesome presentation. They will go through it. Give your handouts at the end unless you want people to take notes. Or they'll skip around and not pay attention to you. And I want them to pay attention to you. So that was your little add-on pro tip. Once again, reading. I know why you read. Because you're nervous and you're scared and you want to give them all this great information. But it's boring and you're killing the audience. So if you're going to have a slide with a lot of writing on it, don't read it. Just let everyone know they can read it on their own. You're going to give them the packet at the end. So fear not. But if you find yourself reading it, delete the slide. For years when I first started public speaking, getting out there doing presentations on the topics that I love, is I would practice, and if I found myself reading it, I would get rid of the slides. But as you practice and you perform more and more, you'll notice that you never want to read the slides because you're going to get so much audience interaction, so much engagement. You won't have any fun if you read. But once again, only put these type of slides in your presentation if you're absolutely committed to not using it as a crutch and to start reading it, all right? So the 5th, last tip I'm going to get into today is that if you have slides and you try to make everything important on the slide, what happens? Well, nothing's important. You can only highlight and bold so much before it's so overwhelming to the audience, they take nothing from it. And once again, I think the most powerful slides you see are just one big visual image on the slide to really knock the socks off the audience and get them to be more curious with you. This particular slide, I got lazy. I put it in. I'm going to make fun of myself here for a second. There's 3 big things on it, and I don't really know what's important anymore. I mean, the topic is about obstacles in communication, and I make 3 things, and they're all bold, they're all huge, they're all in quotes, which means none of it will have impact on the audience. So this is kind of a garbage slide. It's a throwaway slide. I shouldn't have done it. So I think when you're going back and you're really cutting through your slides, think big, powerful images, or if you're going to have words, only make one thing pop. Once again, we've covered some good ways to use PowerPoint, and if you don't follow them, you're going to bore the audience. I promise. Really pay attention to your audience, and everything else will wash itself out. And I'm really nervous about you putting slides that are too busy, too complex up there. That can be a distraction. So think simple, simple, simple. In the Army, we used to call it the KISS principle. K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. I don't know if we can say that anymore. Keep it simple, sexy. Keep it simple, stupendous person. I don't know, whatever you ever want to say. Keep it simple and easy to digest, and realize that just because you think all these things are important doesn't mean your audience has time to consume everything. Keep it simple, focus on them, and you're going to do awesome. If you really want to get your PowerPoints torn apart or shredded, man, send them to me. Most of you have my email address. I'd love to give you feedback. I want you to crush it. I want you to produce really great presentations, and I would love to rip it up just as a hobby. So, hey, thanks for watching, and we'll have something else next week. Thanks, Jackson. Peace.